Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. My name is Will Abbott. I'm head of the business advisory team at Randall Payne. And the purpose of these business bite-sized sessions is just to share some of the tips and insights that the team have learned from working with lots of businesses over many years. And one of the most common questions we get asked or problems we come across with business owners is everybody's incredibly busy. And everybody would like to have more time. The reality, of course, is that everybody's got the same amount of time. We can't generate more time, but what we can do is use our time more effectively. So I've just noted on the screen a few of the things that I would encourage you to think about if you are incredibly busy. This is, of course, relates to productivity. So we know in the UK there's a productivity issue. There has been for many times. Productivity, as a rule, is not improving. So these are some of the things we see where time is being wasted, hidden cost, hidden waste within businesses. The first one I think is really important. It's this idea of procrastination. So what we tend to get focused on is things that are urgent. So there's always urgent things that need doing, but those urgent things take priority over the less urgent but important things. So things like planning, for example, are incredibly important, but they're often not regarded as very urgent, and consequently they often don't get done. Well, of course, good planning is the way to move away from having deadlines to meet all the time and ending up finding things becoming urgent. So focusing on things that are important but not urgent is a way to avoid procrastination. Poor energy levels, I think certainly over the last 12 months with COVID, this has been something that's been really testing for all of us, the ability to be resilient. But actually energy is developed from having good personal habits. So looking after our health, avoiding energy vampires, looking after our mental health. These are the things that help us to maintain our energy and be more productive. Or delegation. This is something that's very, very common that I see when working with business leaders and teams. Everything revolves around the leader. And this is very typical of a founder in a business a few years in when the team has grown. When they started themselves, it was largely dependent on them to do the work and win the sales and do everything. And that habit has become quite embedded. So we need to think about changing that habit and improving our delegation. Very, very important as we go forward with growing the value of a business, that not everything depends on the key individuals. So delegation is important. Poor systems and processes. I think, again, this is driven by doing something well and then not recording how we did it. So we have some success, we have a significant client win, let's say, or deliver a piece of work very effectively. But what we don't do is capture how that worked and how we did it and turn that into a repeatable process. So again, processes is something we often look at very early on, just to try and secure some of the best practice in the business, make it repeatable, easy to access, so we can make best use of that knowledge and skill. Lack of role clarity again, particularly nowadays, I think when things are changing so rapidly, roles and responsibilities do need to change. So we do need to update roles, and people need to be very clear on what their role is within the business. Also making sure that the role reflects the high performance habits and behaviors that we need people to demonstrate. So defining roles once every 10 years isn't enough. We need to be looking at roles on an annual basis at least, when we're doing our appraisals, reviews, whatever we call them. But certainly role clarity is fundamentally important, helps with delegation as well, of course. Poor capability, so not investing in continuous skill development. So again, this is really recognizing how the world is changing, how our businesses are changing, what new skills we need to develop, what new capabilities we need to develop, and continually investing in those for ourselves and our people to make sure we have the capabilities that we need within the team. Quality of team, so again, not dealing with poor performance. Again, that's a skill in itself, isn't it? So we need people to be able to deal with these issues. We need to be able to upskill people that aren't performing, and we need to be looking at aptitude as well as attitude within the team. And finally, the one that I mentioned previously, over-engineering. What's good enough now? I talked about that in an earlier video. So we're delivering 10 out of 10 because that's what we want to do. We're perfectionists at heart. The client's very happy with 8 out of 10. So we're just over-servicing the client, not being paid for it. We don't need to be doing that. We need to be delivering what is good enough. We need to be meeting expectations, of course, but we only need to be delivering what is good enough. So those are some of the common areas we find where productivity is being impacted. Particularly, we see that when people are telling us that they don't have sufficient time, or they're rushing around, they're doing 70 hours a week, they need a break from the business. Often, 2, 3, 4 of those things that I've listed there are the root cause of the problem. And actually, they're not too difficult to address. If you put your mind to it, you can make some significant changes there, which will just improve productivity and free up your time. So if you recognize anything on those lists, please do get in contact and we will help you build up a plan and start taking some action so you can address these issues in the business. Thanks for listening. See you again.